like you.
Hey everybody, we went to see Mother! Exclamation mark. A movie by Darren Aronofsky, who previously gave us the lovely, lovely Pi and the brutal, depressing Requiem for a Dream, and the rest of his output seems to follow that brutally depressing formula. The Wrestler was depressing. I remember seeing it in Orange County, and it was brutally depressing. I'll not see it again. And the same with Requiem for a Dream. Requiem for a Dream. I'm not going to see that again. It's not that bad. It's a great movie, but I'm not going to see it again. I mean, why would you want to? It's just really, really grinding despair, personally tooled to every character in the movie. So that's not for me. But I get that it's a good movie, and I like the guy. I like Darren Aronofsky because he takes chances, and he's not into Hollywood endings. So I have to respect that. And he made a thing called The Fountain, which received boos as in down with this sort of thing, boos and a standing ovation when it was premiered. And Mother, apparently, when he premiered it in the Venice Film Festival or wherever he was, this new movie, Mother! Exclamation mark, also received boos and a standing ovation. And I think if you're an artist, that's what you want. You want boos and a standing ovation. I think if everybody likes it, that's not a good idea, because you don't want something like that appeals to everyone. Not if you're an artist. So you want some people to really like it, and then you kind of want other people to hate it. That's a validation. Like, that's where I stand. I'm okay if like a few people really like my stuff, and if everyone else like doesn't get it and everybody else hates it, I'm fine with that. That's kind of a validation. Like, oh, most people hate this, but a few people really like it. Yeah, that's cool. That's what you want as an artist. I guess if everybody hates it, that's kind of bad, but not as bad as if everybody loves it. Because if everybody loves it, you've made something so generic and that everybody can relate to. Like, that's not a good sign. You want a few people to look at it and say, what the hell is going on here? Oh, you can't relate to it. Fantastic, thanks. You know? So I imagine Darren Aronofsky is heartened by those reactions. In that case, as long as there's a few people who think it's fantastic, you're alright with a load of people booing you. You're like, yeah, okay. You don't get it. That's fine. You think it's terrible. That's cool. So this Mother movie, Mother! Exclamation. The reason I'm saying Mother! Exclamation point is because when it goes onto the screen, it makes a little ting sound. Because it writes on the screen, Mother! Bing! Like that. So if he wanted to make an exclamation mark, then I too will make an exclamation mark. So Mother, it's hard to describe. I mean, I'm not interested in plot spoiling, but there's not much of a plot or a narrative. It's just a bunch of archetypal characters rolling through allegorical scenarios. Sometimes they don't seem very connected. Like, they're all in this house, and then a load of stuff happens in the house, and a bunch of other stuff happens in the house, and there doesn't seem to be any... There's no real narrative. I don't think there's supposed to be a narrative. You just kind of watch it, and you either like it or you don't. I liked it a lot. I like that kind of thing, though. I like the movie, the house kind of... How am I going to describe this? It starts off very kind of peaceful and nice, and then it just... The further the movie goes on, the more everything descends into chaos. Like, utter chaos. And I like that. I like that as a concept, even if it wasn't an allegory for something. Aronofsky says it's an allegory for the environment. You're supposed to think of how we destroy the environment, and that's why it moves towards chaos and total destruction. But I don't know. You could see it as an allegory for anything. I mean, that's the fact that the guy who made it feels it's an allegory for this thing doesn't necessarily mean that's what I have to take from it. We've moved beyond that point in art, I think, since the modern artists of the early 20th century started making stuff that they themselves didn't understand, but other people did. So I don't have to take that. I mean, it's kind of obvious, but I don't have to take that. You can make it about anything. You can make it about how older guys like younger women and take all their youthful energy to make themselves feel relevant, if you like. That's something that happens if you're a rock star, I guess. You marry a much younger girl and you're going to feed off her young person energy. There's a touch of that in the movie, and that's nothing to do with the environment. But it could be about a whole load of things. There's a load of biblical stuff in it as well, like really obvious biblical stuff too. Like he hasn't done much work on hiding it. But that's okay. If it works, it's a bit of fun. And I don't know if you're supposed to, but there's a bit where the house descends into such ludicrous chaos that I started laughing. And I couldn't stop laughing for about 5 minutes because it's really, really funny. To me, it was really funny. And it didn't help that what's-her-face out of Saturday Night Live, Kristen Wiig, was in it. I don't know how to pronounce her name. But she used to be in Saturday Night Live. And she's definitely a comedy person. And she's playing straight here, but when you see her, you're thinking, oh, okay. So then really funny stuff starts happening. It's not. I don't know if I don't know if it's supposed to be funny. Like I was the only person laughing. Everybody else was kind of in shock because it got ludicrous. Like it's like, did you ever see a movie called Casino Royale? Right, not the new one with Daniel Craig, but the old one with Peter Sellers and Woody Allen and all those guys. And David Niven. It's from 1967, and it's a James Bond movie that makes no sense whatsoever. It's bizarre. It's just ludicrous, and it's funny. And it starts off, well, all the secret agents that he's working against are French secret agents, but they all have Scottish accents, and they all live in Scotland. And when you go, there's no plot. It's just a series of stuff that happens, so there's no real plot in it. And in the end, it moves towards chaos. Again, it moves towards total destruction of the casino that they're in. Everything just moves to destruction. And eventually everything falls apart around them. And that's like this movie. That element of it is like this movie. And in the Casino Royale, it's played for laughs. You're obviously supposed to laugh at the fact that the entire set and the plot and the characters are just destroying each other without any sense of purpose or plot or narrative or anything. And it's a bit like that in this movie, where everything gets destroyed. The characters and the plot line and the physical set that they filmed the thing on, it all gets destroyed. And it's funny. I'm probably the only person who would find that amusing. And I'm okay. I'm okay with that, as long as some people think that's okay. I'm okay with everybody else hating that. Hating that I found it funny. That's okay. So that's Mother. Go see it if you like. If you want to see a movie blow itself up and destroy everything at the end, by all means. And the Blues Brothers has a touch of that as well, actually. In the Blues Brothers, it's a constant crescendo, as crescendos tend to be, of violence and chaos and madness till the end. In the end of the Blues Brothers, and I'm going to spoiler alert this because it doesn't matter. In the end of the Blues Brothers, the whole plot line is they have to get to a tax office with a certain amount of money at a certain time. That's the entire plot. It's like admin, right? So they go to the office, and the army is coming after them with other jeeps, and the SWAT team with their helicopters and their special vans, and the municipal cops and the state troopers, and everybody is just thousands and thousands of law enforcement officials and military personnel are all converging, and the whole thing just collapses, and it's brilliant. And I like that. I like any movie that just kind of runs into a, I don't know, it's like the opposite of a Deus Ex Machina. Instead of someone swooping in to rescue the plot, they just say, fuck it, and destroy everything. So I like that. I like that part of the Blues Brothers, and I like that part of Casino Royale, the 1967 Casino Royale. And I liked that about Mother! Exclamation point. So go see it if you want. We also saw the week before. The reason, by the way, we suddenly find ourselves watching a lot of movies these weeks because we bought an electric car. Woo! Electric, we're living in the future. Someone has to live in the future, right? Might as well be us. We bought an electric car, it doesn't take any petrol, so now we smugly, condescendingly drive past petrol stations and we're all like, hey, maybe we should stop for oh, like that. It's never going to get old. Also, no noise. The engine makes zero noise. They have a special little noise in the engine that they play, like on a tape, so people know you're coming, right? But there's an off switch just under the steering wheel, sorry. And I press that off switch all the time because it's hilarious. And I drive really slowly just up behind pedestrians. And I just, oh, I swear to God, oh, I just hope I just tap one of them very gently. And I'm like, boo. It's the future, bitch. Like that. Like Britney Spears might say it. You know? Like, just a little tip off, ideally a small child. And his mother's like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And I'm like, welcome to the future, bitch. Like that. That's less like Britney Spears and more like a stereotypically flamboyant gay man, but whatever, I'll take it. Anally, no. Right. Yeah, so we're going to see a lot of movies because we haven't got a charger in our house yet. When you buy one of these cars, you need a special charger fitted to your house. And I assumed that the whole thing would happen as a unit. You'd buy the car and the charger would magically appear in your house, but that doesn't work like that. You have to call the ESP and they'll do it for you in a few weeks. So for these few weeks, while we have our new electric car, we have to charge it in the public charging stations, one of which is in the car park in Clonmel, right opposite the movie house. The movie house. There's a word for it. Hang on. Cinema. Right opposite the cinema, there's one of these electric charging stations. And it takes about 8 hours to do a full charge. Like, we never need a full charge. But it takes about 8 hours to do a full charge. So it takes about 2 hours to give us enough charge to do our business. And 2 hours is about the length of a movie. So we go in and see the movie, dump the car in the charge, and then come back. And it works. It's great, you know. But it does mean we have to watch more movies than normally. We want to see one movie a month. Now we're seeing one a week. So this week we saw Mother! By Darren Aronofsky. And last week we saw IT, which I thought would have more computer technology in it. But it's about a scary clown, which I found disappointing. Sorry, it's a stupid joke. So we saw it. Scary clown movie. It was supposed to be a scary clown movie. And I don't know, maybe I'm getting old, but I didn't find it scary at all. Does that mean I'm getting old if I didn't find it scary? I keep saying IT because I keep thinking of that stupid joke. So if I say IT again, you know I mean it. I remember the television series, and I remember thinking, even at the time, that wasn't really scary. But and I was a kid then, so I was supposed to find it scary, and I didn't. It was more like a Steven Spielberg sort of a charming childhood nostalgia thing. Steven Spielberg is great. He can make you nostalgic for things that didn't happen to you and that you have no access to, which is the American childhood experience of the 1970s. That's genius. I mean, think about how clever that is. Making someone nostalgic for something you have no experience of. And something that definitely didn't happen to you or anyone you know. That's brilliant. But that's all I remember of that. Steven Spielberg had nothing to do with the IT TV show, I don't think. But that's the kind of thing that's the kind of atmosphere, you know. I like it. It's alright. It's not bad. It's not really scary. I don't know. It's certainly, I mean, they think it's scary. There's a lot of screaming. The kids in there think it's scary, but it's not really that scary. What it is funny. And not in the Mother! Kind of funny way where everything's falling down around them. It's funny in the way that somebody's written comedy joke lines into the script, and a lot of them. Somebody put a load of one-liner jokes in there, and they work. They're all funny. There's a lot of your mother jokes in it, but it doesn't matter. Like, they're funny, right? So I like it. I like that movie a lot because of the funny. Now, I'm pretty sure that's not what you should be looking for in a horror movie, is intentional humor. Like, a lot of horror movies you laugh at unintentionally because, I suppose, a fright scare is cathartic in a way, and on the come down from cathartic you might laugh as a way of processing the fright you just got. Apparently that happens. I've seen it happen all the time. It doesn't happen to me, but I've seen it happen to a lot of people in theatres. They get a big jump scare and then they laugh, which there must be some psychological reason for that. I don't know what it is. I know it doesn't happen to me. I'm one of the very few people that jump scares don't seem to work on at all, as my wife will attest to, if anyone doubts. Not really. It doesn't affect me. Like, a guy popping out from a door is like, alright. What I did find scary is, I found The Exorcist scary, and I found a Japanese movie called Ringu, which they remade, which Gore Verbinski remade with Naomi Watts, called The Ring. But the original Japanese one is even more scary because it's in Japanese, and everybody's speaking Japanese, and it gives it an extra scary edge. A little bit racist, but also true. You should watch it in Japanese. There's no real jump scares. Like, there's the opposite of a jump scare. There's something that happens really, really slowly, and it's terrifying. There's only one special effect in that entire movie, and it happens really, really slowly, and it's terrifying if you've never seen it before. I certainly was scared. And that's not the scariest thing in the movie. The scariest thing in the movie, Ringu, is they've set up this plot point where something bad happens if you answer a phone call. So, of course, every time the phone rings, you're like, oh, well, this is it. I'm going to die now, you know? So as soon as I watched that movie, after I was finished, my phone rang and I nearly lost myself. It was just a friend of mine. But it was very disturbing. So that movie, Ringo, did scare me. And the other movie that scared me was The Exorcist. Not because of all the demon stuff. The scariest part of that movie was when they did a CAT scan on the little girl. Because the little girl is... all sorts of craziness is happening around her, and they want to see if it's a brain problem she has. Which, in the book, by the way, The Exorcist, it's made clear that everything that happens to the girl has a psychological explanation, and at no point is it entertained as an objective theory that she's possessed by a demon. It's like a subjective thing. It's somebody's opinion. But at no point is it raised that she's actually possessed by an actual demon. Whereas in the movie, it's pretty clear she's possessed by a real demon from hell, because they show you the demon twice in the director's cut and once in the regular cut. It's this stone, he manifests as this stone statue thing in the room with the girl. Pazuzu or something, I don't know what his name is. But he's definitely a real demon who's really infecting this girl with his presence. And that's not a thing in the book. But that's not the scariest part of the movie for me. For me, the scariest part of the movie was at the start when they're getting the girl checked out medically and psychiatrically. And one of the things they do is they give her a CAT scan in her brain, and they put her into this white machine, which is like it's got a hole in the middle of it, a round hole where they just slide you in on a stretcher thing. You know, the machine, they have it in lots of things. And because it's the middle of the 70s, those machines made a lot of noise. And she's in there in the machine on her own, and surrounded by this kind of metal cylinder, and she has to stay very, very still or they can't get the slices of her brain photos. And the machine makes a noise, it just goes bam, 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 like that. And you're watching her inside, and this thing all around her, and she's no one to help her, and she's on her own, and that to me is scary. That was kind of scary, in the sense that it was utterly terrifying. The rest of the demon stuff to me is just cartoonish. Not in a bad way. I mean, it's just difficult to take seriously. It's good. I mean, I love that movie. All of it. But the scariest bit for me was the CAT scan. I do like in the movie when the Father Karras, the psychologist, he's spent all the movie trying to help her out, you know, and trying to work on his little theories, and then the exorcist comes in just right at the very end, and he says to him, okay, he says, I've worked out all these, I've identified 12 personalities, and the exorcist says, no, there's only one. And he hasn't even seen the girl yet, and your man's like, okay, well, I've been doing all this work, yeah, there's no point. Yeah, but I've spent months helping her. No, none of that's going to do any good. Just funny, because it means he's wasted his whole time. And then when he walks in, the first time he walks in the door, the girl screams out, "Marin!" It's like they're old friends. They're getting the band back together, except they hate each other, and one of them's going to be cast out into bottomless perdition, and there to dwell in adamantine chains. Sorry, John Milton. So that was The Exorcist, and that's a scary movie if you like, but not in the kind of a, what's in the box? Don't know, let's open the box. Don't open the box. Go on, open the box. What's in the box? I don't know what's in the box. Open the box. Boom! It's something on a spring. Right? That kind of thing, that's not scary. That's cheap. Like, if you're putting that into your script, one of those will do per movie. If you've got more than one of those, you're wasting my time, man. It's cheap. And in fairness to it, IT doesn't have many of those. I think it's got like one or two, but not. I wouldn't call it a jump scare movie. It does have one or two, but it's not really with that kind of thing. And The Exorcist isn't like that at all. And Ringu isn't like that at all. It's all in Ringu, all the horror happens in your head, in the back of your head. You're thinking about what certain things mean, what they must mean if they're true. And that's what makes that scary. I was going to talk about something, but I've spent the last 20 minutes talking about movies we saw. So I guess I won't talk about that thing. This morning I saw a guy on my road cutting a hedge. The hedge is behind a very tall wall, let's say about 20 feet tall, and he's got one leg on that wall. This is the situation I was greeted with when I was driving past, and one leg on a stepladder that's been extended to 20 feet, and it's on the garden beside the wall, and he has to cut the hedge that's grown up over this 20-foot wall. And he has one of these chainsaw strimmer things in his hands, and he's cutting the hedge, and he's got 1 foot on the wall and 1 foot on the extended stepladder, right on the top of it. Like he's not on the top step. He's on the thing at the top that you carry, is used to carry it around, I guess. He's stepping on that. And I'm looking at him thinking, well, that's going to end in tears. Predictably, this is going to end in tears. And I didn't want to stand around and wait for him to kill himself. But, I mean, that guy, he's like 20 years old. He needs both of his hands for driving and changing gears and eating his dinner and so on. That is comedy situation number 27. A guy standing on the top of a stepladder with a chainsaw. Comedy situation number 7 is a man walking down the road. Maybe he's Buster Keaton, we don't know, minding his own business, and there's a banana skin right in front of him. That's comedy situation number 7. That comes in pretty early. Comedy situation number 14 is 2 guys carrying a pane of glass across a road. And maybe there's a cyclist coming at them, I don't know. Comedy situation number 23 is 2 guys carrying a piano up a set of steps. And so on. It's very rarely you see these things in the real world. I actually did see 2 guys carrying a pane of glass across a road on O'Connell Street once. And it was glorious. I mean, nothing happened. The cyclist didn't bang into it or anything. But it was brilliant. And it made me very happy. I'm easily pleased. I also, myself, was subject to a banana skin on the ground, which actually happened to me, and I know it's difficult to believe, but it happened to me in the parking lot of the Glendale IKEA, north of Los Angeles. That's a real thing that happened to me. I was just walking along, and there was a banana skin right in front of me, and I was like, oh my god, I should take a picture of this. This might be the most amazing thing that's ever happened to me. But it turned out I've lived such a mad life that it's pretty far away from the most amazing thing that's ever happened to me. That's it. Me talking about movies and a few comedy situations. That's all you're getting today. I will move what I was going to talk about to next week. Until then, I guess, if you like this, tell all your friends. Like, subscribe if you want more. I mean, I'm going to be making these anyway, but like and subscribe it anyway. Because at some point, I would like to know that I'm not screaming into a void, shouting nonsense into the abyss. Because, as Nietzsche said, to paraphrase him, I'm afraid the abyss is going to scream gibberish back at me, and then where would we be? So if you like it, tell your friends. If you don't like it, if you think this is just specious gibberish, then please tell everybody you know. And I am out.
Not like you.